on behalf of the Center for Global Transformation and the 21st Century India Center here at UC San Diego School of Global Policy and Strategy, we're so delighted to welcome Dr. Jyoti Parikh here as a Pacific Leadership Fellow. So welcome. Let's begin just by telling us a little bit about yourself and your career.
So first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. We really enjoyed being here with very experienced faculty members and students who are also very curious to learn and already know a lot. So yes, I am Jyoti Parikh. I began my career earlier in theoretical physics from University of California, Berkeley, master's degree and PhD from University of Maryland, College Park, and was publishing in theoretical physics. And then I got married to Kirit Parikh, and then gradually I shifted my career to work on energy, environment, climate change, and gradually more and more discipline got added to that. I first worked at International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis in Vienna, where we spent 8 years. And that's where I got into global energy modeling. And then we came to Mumbai. That was Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research. We set that up. And there was a PhD program. I was lucky to have a very nice, very busy, efficient PhD students who worked on many fields of and that's the time we entered into climate change. 92 climate change, Rio meeting, United Nations Framework on Climate Change Convention, UNFCCC. That was, we were part of that preparation period also before Rio, and that's when we wrote paper of consumption pattern driving forces for climate change. Mm-hmm. So our journey has started in climate change that way.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about IRADe, the think tank that you helped to found and help run, and the work that it does.
Yeah. So, well, my story and IRADe's story then afterwards run parallel a little bit. But before that, so after that, I started, after Rio, also got involved in Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and so on. So after many of these this PhD thesis and academic work, we decided, okay, it's time to also work on policy issues and field level issues. So that was the focus of our new institute, which was called Integrated Research and Action for Development, IRADe. And here that we've just completed 20 years of that. Here we work in the area of climate change, energy policy. We have also included urban development, gender and poverty, especially in energy access and access to health and education. We also have done now much work recently, last 10-15 years. We have set up a South Asia center, and then we made it into Asia Center, because we are also working on South Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries.
Tell us, in your point of view, how is India doing on its climate goals, and how far into the process are we with respect to decarbonization and meeting some of the climate goals, set out in the various protocols?
Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was Prime Minister of India then, set up a climate advisory panel, and I was a member of that national panel. There was 8 national missions. Many of them are like agriculture, water, and then I suggested also let's have urban model also, because our urban areas also suffer from heat stress and floods and so on. Then after that we worked much more on the Paris Agreement time came. I mean, we have been working on COP, climate. The annual meeting that take place. We so for the Paris Agreement, Government of India, Ministry of Environment asked us to do some modeling work to show what can we promise at 2030. There was another institution called TERI and IRADe. We both worked out different modeling strategies to look at national determined contributions. What should India promise? So we thought that from our calculations and our goals, we thought, okay, 35% of the energy can come from capacity should be renewable capacity by 2030. And we had also done many other given goals there. So at the and after that we were taken to various ministries and show our results. They all agreed to different levels. And then we went back to our modeling work, then did final scenarios and gave the government our results. After that, Paris Agreement took place and India had submitted its NDC goals. We subsequently we went back to drawing board because there was a little bit gap here and there. So that work is published then later on, and so that was quite satisfying. After that, we have been working. I personally involved Economic Forum, G20, T20, and so on. So on one hand, we work on a global level, but also we worked in national level by looking at decarbonization. And India is decarbonizing while it's growing. So every year energy requirement is going up, economic growth is going up, but correspondingly carbon emission should not go up. So nobody would agree that we will stop our development, right. But we have to agree that carbon emission should not grow in the same proportion. It would grow for a while, but not as much as some of the other countries were emitted while they were growing. So this is the type of work, and that's the main net zero pathways came in Glasgow time. I was a member of Friends of COP at Glasgow, and then we used to discuss what should be so net zero pathways came actually during Glasgow. Though I personally feel that 2030 should be our major test rather than always talking about net zero in the distant future, but that was the issue. And then at the same time, we have to look at for the other groups such as women and so how can they contribute to this thing, and what sectors and what especially our cities have to take some pledge and also ensure that infrastructure so that carbon emissions don't grow.
So how important in this story do you think regional cooperation is in terms of energy demand?
We were very glad to have USAID asking us to look at the grid connections between India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and how actually at first it was the entire South Asia, including Pakistan, Afghanistan, but later on by 2016 it was much more towards the eastern side. And the issue is that there are a lot of win-win solutions there. Nepal has a lot of hydropower, Bhutan has hydropower, and if they sell to India, then every time you have a solar energy, you have 16 hours of no energy because sun is there for 8 to 10 hours. So how do you sustain for those hours? And that's when the Nepal Bhutan's hydro help, though India has its own hydro, but when you go into that kind of proportion, you need far more. Or else you need lot of storage, batteries, and so on. So that is also, the thing is, I think we would multiple options are being chased at the same time. You never know what will stop and what will disappear at what period. So we had a lot of hope for nuclear last century, but that didn't pan out. So one has to be careful about energy choices. So we and expand as many options. But it is a very powerful measure because it's a managerial measure. You actually, these are very simple things which are known. They are nothing, no fancy, no hydrogen, no carbon capture storage. It's a hydro technology which was existed 100 years ago, but of course in new form. They would grow economically that they wouldn't otherwise. And India will do CO2 reduction. Bangladesh actually needs even more so than India, and actually the whole thing is practically driven by Nepal and Bangladesh. And the good thing is that there is a power market in India, which kind of increases the confidence that this is a fair deal and not politically rammed something on their throat, down their throat. It's a market. You want to sell, don't sell if you think it's not right.
So final question, what's your hope for India's climate future?
India is across all parties. There is a unanimity that we need to, this is a thing to reckon with, and we need to mitigate also, we need to adapt. And in fact, Paris Agreement work we did during Manmohan Singh's time, and when it came to declaring in Paris, there's Modi government, and they made little changes, but it went. So, and they made it even more ambitious than we would have. So it's not something that's contested. India is growing, but at the same time decarbonizing, so it would have to doubly do this with great, and if there is international finance then and cooperation, and including India's cooperation with other countries, I think we can do that. And the more it's a global problem, and we should have a global cooperation to solve it.
Well, Dr. Jyoti Parikh, thank you so much for being with us, and enjoy your time in San Diego.
Thank you very much for inviting us.